How did you went from being with your teacher to creating Wild Flower Zen Sangha?
Wildflower Sangha was actually not Wildflower in the beginning. It began in Paris as the Paris Zen group in 2004, after I had received transmission from my teacher and been recognized as a teacher myself. And at the same time, a few months after that, I was invited to come here, and my teacher was invited to come here. I came with her, here being Lisbon and Porto. And I came with her, and they wanted her to come back, and she said she didn't want to because she already had many students elsewhere, but that if they wanted someone to come back, I would come back. And therefore, from October 2004, I started coming twice a year to Portugal, generally to Porto. And in the beginning, we tried different ways. We tried doing residential retreats, which were not very successful in the sense that no one knew anything about Zen practice. No one knew me as a teacher. And so they weren't very popular, the retreats. And we realized that a retreat, it would take quite an effort for people to commit to coming to a 4-day overnight retreat when they knew nothing about Zen practice and they didn't know the teacher. So we decided to stop that, and we just did a series of weekend workshops in the Buddhist Union in Porto, which no longer exists, but in those days it did exist, the Portuguese Buddhist Union in Porto. And we did that for, I think, 2 years. And after that, I was able to introduce a lot of people to the practice, and people started connecting with me, and we decided to do the retreats again. The name Wildflower came up about that time. We were on a retreat, a week-long retreat, the first one we did in the summertime, which was in that area in Portugal behind the mountains. I forget how you say that in Portuguese, but way far away. And there were wildflowers everywhere. And I was looking for a name for my group, both in France and in Portugal. And one afternoon when we were outside, I just saw those wildflowers, and they were so beautiful. And I was so touched by their nature and the fact that they grew everywhere, and they were different everywhere. And there were wildflowers in Portugal that in France are considered extremely precious, and you pay a lot of money for them in the store, in the shop. Whereas here, they just grow alongside the road. Walking down the street in sidewalks, you will see wildflowers springing up. And it struck me when I was sitting there outside meditating in that place in Portugal that was the name, Wildflower. We had no set specific place. We had no architecture. We were in all different kinds of places. In France, we sat in different parts of the country and cities and in people's apartments. In Portugal, the same way. We went to a different place every time we did a retreat, different cities. It was different every time. We just used whatever we had. We didn't have many cushions. We didn't have any equipment. Someone gave us a bell. Someone gave us a Buddha. People would bring their own blankets and pillows from their beds to sit on. And I suddenly realized that's us. That's us, wildflowers. And that truly expresses the point of this whole practice. The essence of it is to be truly who you are, where you are. And that's never fixed. That changes every moment. And it happens in the middle of your life as it is. So wildflowers spring up along the highway, in the middle of the city, in the mountains, in the desert, in the middle of a field, everywhere, in the mountains, you see different flowers than you see along the coast in Portugal. You see different flowers if you go to Japan than you do in China. Different everywhere. And that's how I came to that name. And we've continued to develop in that way, very organically, never knowing where we will be the next time. And there's something about that that is true to the essence of all of life. Every aspect of life is an expression of the whole, and the whole is an expression of every different aspect, and it's changing all the time, and it's interdependent, as we all are together. So the group is changing all the time here, although over the years we've established a core solid group, and particularly in Portugal. And now I come 3 times a year, sometimes 4, and we try different ways of practicing, different places, but the essence is always the same.